All right, say it again.
Watch the last one at the bar.
Y'all subscribe to the last ones at the bar boxing channel, man. We got some boxing fans out there.
Hola, soy Jolie de Medellín y estás viendo la Squad 11 de Bar, el mejor canal de boxeo. Dale me gusta y suscríbete. Y me puedes encontrar en Instagram como Jolie1026 Sánchez. Bye.
Last ones at the bar. Exclusively hosted by the sport of boxing.
Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button. And I just want to say welcome back to another episode of Last Ones at the Bar. Today's a pretty special ep because we got our good brother Ty co-hosting from In This Corner podcast. Ty, how we doing today, good brother?
Doing good, man. Thank you for the invite, man. Glad to be back on the show, man. Let's start some boxing.
Yes, indeed, man. Before we get started, man, how's the weekend? Everything's good with you?
Yeah, so yesterday I went out to my second home buyers course. So, I was out there for about 4 hours, just learning everything I can, as far as purchasing a home. So, I was out there for a couple hours and just came back to the crib and chill, got on Call of Duty with my brother. So that's about it. But definitely glad to be out there at the course, learning, as much as I can.
Yeah, is any particular area that you're looking to purchase a home?
Yeah, just where I was at, Salisbury, or either Salisbury, where I'm at, or in Delaware, closer to my job. So just between them two. But I would prefer Delaware, but I'm cool if it's in Salisbury. But I think I prefer Delaware a lot more.
I got you. Yeah, Delaware, man, a lot of rich history out that way that a lot of people aren't familiar with. You said thank you for the invite, man. I appreciate you stopping on today, man. It's been a pretty down weekend for me, man. I got some pretty sad news on Thursday at work, and I've been just trying to come to grips with everything. And so I just want to say I appreciate you showing up today, because it kind of helps to try to keep my mind away from some of those thoughts. So again, I want to say appreciate you, good brother. Also, some of this, some kind of intermingle some of the things that me and Vale does when we start our eps. Today was a important day in boxing history, because today is the anniversary of a fight that took place back in '84. I'm sure you're not familiar with this fight because you really didn't start picking up and watching boxing until after this era. But one of the great all-time middleweight champions, Marvin Hagler, was making his 8th title defense of two of his belts, and the 3rd of the IBF belt that he had claimed a year or two prior to this fight. The reason why this fight is so significant is because you see in the corner right there, this was the only recorded knockdown in Marvelous Marvin Hagler's illustrious career. I'm going to show you a little bit of the fight. This is how it started off, and then Hagler ended up. So that we can see that. You think that was a knockdown right there?
Yeah.
I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but I don't want to see Hagler like that, because Hagler came back. Ron down was a tough dude. And he broke him down and ended up getting him out of there. So again, I just wanted to point that out in today's history, that was the 8th title defense for the great Marvelous Marvin Hagler. All right, so let me go ahead and take that. It's just kind of loud right there. No topics of the day, man. I sent you a link because I told you I got a promotional few dollars to spend on the website or the app FanDuel. And man, I've been making a killing the other day, man. Banchero was my guy, for Orlando. They've been doing their thing. The Connecticut women, they easy money. as you see right there. And then, oh, that's pretty much the same bets. I must have put the same ones up there yesterday. But one in particular, I put $2 down on all the teams yesterday to score 20 points in each quarter. And then I ended up making about close to $50 on that particular bet, man. So, you know, I say all that to say that when you are part of these apps, if you refer somebody, then you'll get like money, extra money. And like I said, the money, whatever it is that the promotion is, I give the other person half, so that they can go ahead and participate if that's something that you're interested in. But that's a lot of fun, man. It makes the games a little bit more interesting. But you know, some people don't like to, you know, do that sort of thing. So that's understandable as well. Speaking of that, man, don't hit that cash out. You know, M-Town Will Hen. I think that my guy has his in the chat as well. You know, so don't be you know, if you want to be a little bit generous, you understand what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and get to this boxing. But before I mention that, we used to work with, I can let the cat out the bag now. We used to work with Bovada Sportsbook on this episode. I mean, on this particular show here. And that the times that you would hear us say, according to Bovada Sportsbook, that was us promoting, you know, their particular app. And so we would get compensated for that as well. But that's another good one to go to also. All right, man. Let's go ahead and talk this boxing. Yesterday, you had the fight in Cancun. It was a rematch between William Zepeda and then also Tevin Farmer. Let me get your thoughts. What did you think about the fight, man? Was it a robbery, or did the judges get it right this time?
Yeah, it was a good fight. Definitely think the judges got it right. You know, I was glad I was able to catch this fight because I missed the first one. And like when I heard how good Tevin Farmer did, I was kind of surprised because I was like, it's a feather-fisted guy versus a power puncher, you know. So I was surprised, you know, Tevin Farmer, you know, did as good as he did. So I was highly interested in this fight. But one thing I noticed about the fight, like the size difference, it just looked like Zepeda was a lot bigger than Farmer. Mm-hmm. But Farmer, man, he's got my full respect. He's tough as nails. He's durable. He's got a chin. Like Zepeda just kept coming forward, man, all night. Just kept coming forward, going to the body, you know, throwing a lot of shots. And it seemed like Farmer, he was just like, he was adjusting, you know what I mean? He was getting caught with a lot of body shots, but he was constantly pushing Zepeda off of him, throwing his shots back. It looked like he was like, at the end of each round, it looked like he was hurt a little bit, like when he was going to his corner. I don't know if he was trying to shake off those body shots or just stretch it off or what, but yeah. But it was a good fight. The last round, I can definitely say that was Tevin Farmer. He seemed like he just started to let his hands go. It seemed like Zepeda didn't move as much in that fight, but I just wish like Farmer had that same mindset earlier in the fight, just let his hands go like he did in that 12th round. But he had some moments earlier in the fight where he was catching, you know, Zepeda with some decent shots that was snapping his head back. But I think it was a great fight. But yeah, to me, Zepeda, he definitely won. He threw a lot more. He landed a lot more. I just wish that, you know, Tevin Farmer, I think it hurts him just being feather-fisted. You know, he kind of reminds me of like a cool boy Fulton. But like I said, man, he's able to adjust. And so like it was a good fight. Hats off to you know, Zepeda for winning. But like I said, man, I definitely tip my hat off to Farmer, you know, being as strong as he was, not going down, not taking no knees, and you know, just doing what he had to do to make it throughout those 12 rounds.
Consummate professional. You know, that was a professional performance by Tevin Farmer yesterday. Like you said, it would help if he had a little bit more pop in his punches, you know, to get a little bit more respect. But I do want to ask you this before I bring our guy on here, Shelton the Great. Is that what does this tell you about Zepeda? His prospects for moving forward. Does it tell you anything that you need to know against the upper echelon guys? Would you like, when you look at him now, do you see him as not being as good as what you may have thought he may have been, or it really is just a matchup issue between him and Tevin Farmer, and it may not tell us anything?
I I think he's definitely a legit elite guy. I just think, like I said, Tevin Farmer, he was just able to adjust. You're not going to fight a lot of guys that, you know, could adjust. Like Williams Zepeda is a power puncher. He's got a lot of stoppages. But Farmer, like I said, Farmer showed us what he's capable of doing. He showed us that, you know, he's able to take his shots. He showed us he's able to adjust. He's able to push them all. So I think Zepeda, he's definitely still light. He reminds me of Virgil Ortiz. Just come forward, throw a lot of shots. But if you fight somebody, let's just say like somebody that's slick like Terrence Crawford, coming forward may not work. You're gonna have to, you know, go to a plan B. You're gonna have to have some other tools in your bag. So to me, it all depends on who Zepeda fights. But to me, he's definitely one of the elite guys. I look forward to seeing more of him in the future for sure.
Gotcha. I'm gonna bring Shelton on. Only thing, like I can see the comparison between him and Ortiz. Is just that when you look at those highlights, when Farmer let his hands go, he really couldn't miss him. You know what I mean? And I don't see that with Ortiz. Ortiz is a little bit more, at least in that Madrimov fight, he seemed like he cleaned up a lot of that stuff. But the fight before that, he was getting hit a little bit more. What's going on, Shelton, man? How we doing today, man?
We doing good, young brother. How you, man?
Oh man, everything. I'm making it. I'm alive and I'm breathing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's all we can really ask for.
Yes,
My young brother in the chat, is that our guy right there?
Rusty Cage?
Yes.
Rusty Cage. No, not from last week.
Our guy on the panel. I'm sorry, our guy on the panel. I know Rusty Cage is.
No, he's not here just yet. But Rusty did say y'all ain't giving Farmer enough credit. There's a reason Javante ducked him. I agree. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't say y'all. You know, I'm just asking the questions. I'm right now today. I'm playing. I'm like LeBron. You know, like LeBron could score sometimes. So today I'm not really going to be scoring. I'm gonna facilitate. So I'm facilitating and I'm dishing these passes. So, Sean, what about you? What did you see yesterday?
I saw a guy in Zepeda who is exactly what I said he was. One trick pony. Come forward, use your face for defense, throws a bunch of punches, and that volume will wear most guys down. But Tevin Farmer's a tough guy. Tevin Farmer's an experienced guy. If Tevin Farmer had any semblance of pop, he would have knocked Zepeda out. Zepeda is not very good. I don't know what people see as Zepeda. They say he's this, he's that. He's not beating Shakur. He's not beating Keyshawn. He's not beating Lomachenko. And he's definitely not beating Davis fighting like that. Because Davis wants you to come forward. That's what he wants you to do. Davis will knock him in the next week. Because as you said, Wilton, whenever Farmer let his hands go, he couldn't miss that dude. Couldn't miss it.
That's my problem with Zepeda was the lack of defense. You know, because see, I was going to say that regardless of the outcome of this fight, I wasn't going to, diminish what I had seen. So I did see a little bit more in Zepeda because the guys who they were putting in the ring with, he was knocking their blocks off. But again, it wasn't like he was fighting the best of the best. But I did see some pop in his punches. I did see an engine. He wasn't getting hit like he's been getting hit in these Farmer fights. Like I said, when Farmer lets his hands go. The reason why I said that I wasn't going to diminish what I see initially, unless I was seeing like flaws like that, is because I've seen guys previously who are great fighters who just have trouble with a particular style. I remember vividly in the 80s when Roberto Duran, it was certain guys that he'll fight Robbie Sims or somebody like that. And he wouldn't look so good because Robbie Sims, even though he wasn't the best fighter, he just was a good boxer who moved, and Duran had kind of frustrated Duran. I saw Duran lose against Kirkland Lang. Nobody ever even knew who Kirkland Lang was, but he still could fight other people, especially with his antennas up, so on and so forth. He was a great, one of the best of all time. So that's the matchup sometimes doesn't bother me. It's just the manner in which you lose. And like I said, those little things that I saw, it bothers me against some of the better guys, because if he's getting frustrated like that, with Tevin Farmer, who's tough. Like he's one of those guys that's going to be very difficult to look good against. It's just I can only imagine, even though Shakur doesn't fight like that, I don't think that he'll have trouble with him because he's a supreme boxer as well. Keyshawn Davis, if he's getting tagged like that, because Keyshawn is athletic as well, and if he's getting tagged like that, and then ultimately he got dropped in his last fight, what would Keyshawn do? But again, it's a style matchup type thing. Sheldon hates Mexican boxing. He can't trust you. Oh, okay, that's that California thing that's going on out there with Sheldon. What is worse, back lack of defense or lack of offense? Defense. You get your head knocked off. Okay, and then Bebo Jones, he's just looking. He all eyes on you fellas. So here's the punch stat. So here, I don't think that you can make a case that Farmer won the fight, but he did close the show really well in that 12th round, in the latter rounds. So the power punches was 243 to 111 in favor of Zepeda. Total punches 344 to 152 in favor of Zepeda. And then when you look at the total body shots, the 119 to 32, that's what I thought that he was going to implement in this fight because he wasn't doing it as much in the first fight. But, that was a good fight, though, man. Good fight out there in Cancun. Anything else you guys have regarding that matchup?
The reason I got so much respect for Farmer is because I know in the 4th and the 5th he wanted to quit. He was hurt. He broke his hand. In body shots, Zepeda was wailing on his body. I mean, Zepeda had him ready to go. And he sucked it up and continued to fight. And you can't ask for no more than that.
That's a professional right there, man. That's a true professional. Before I get to the Brian Norman fight, did you get a chance to see the Michaela Mayer fight? I know you didn't
miss it. Glad I didn't miss it. That was a good fight.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go back and check it out. I just haven't really been that high on her when I see her fights, but I don't want to be a chauvinist on here. So I do want to get your take on what it is that you saw yesterday. What happened?
Man, let me tell you, Michaela's a dog. Michaela got up in there, started with the jab, and stayed on her bumper the entire fight. Now, to her credit, Sandy Riot did hurt Michaela a couple times, trying to back her up, but Michaela kept coming. Michaela beat her down last night. That fight was the first fight was great. This fight wasn't that close, but the action was great because Ryan had to do everything she could just to keep Michaela up off of her. Michaela's a dog, though. I like Michaela there.
Okay. What would you like to see next for Michaela?
Lauren Price, unify. Go undisputed. Lauren Price got 3 belts. Michaela got 1. Line them up. Because the Bumgardner fight is not feasible because Bumgardner's too small. Bumgardner can't make it to 47. She's too tiny.
She was talking about fighting the Glow, though. You know what I'm saying?
That was never serious talk. That girl is comfortably making 130. I think she'll be small against Taylor or Serrano at 135. She is tiny. She's a little bitty girl, man. She was never good serious. Carissa can't get. Honestly, Wilton, you ask my man on the panel what his thoughts are. I don't think that Clarissa can make 54 no more. I don't think she makes 54 anymore.
Gotcha. No, she looked like, and I wouldn't even try. Like, it wouldn't even make any sense at this particular point. And I'm sure Pat Poose wouldn't want her to go back down to 154 the way she's been looking in them jeans. You know what I'm saying? But what about you, Ty? That was a question, a direct question for you, sir. You think if she put her mind to it, that Clarissa can get back down to 154?
Yeah. It's kind of reminded me of like Roy Jones. He went all the way up to heavyweight and won. And I just felt like once he started going back down in weight, that's when he started, having his trouble. But I mean, Clarissa Shields, she amazes us, man. Like I said, she went all the way up she just beat 2 ladies in the heavyweight division. So I think she can do it, but it's just a matter of, is she going to be the same? You know what I mean? Is she going to be the same going up in weight, then trying to lose all that weight? How is she her punch is still going to be as fast? Is she still going to be as sharp? So those are the questions I have. I think she definitely can make it, but since she moved up to heavyweight, I don't know what she's going to do at this point.
My boy, B-Ball, like, you know, we can't talk like that on this right here, sir. You know, but shout out to you though, B. Yeah, it would be. I think too, you got to factor in this is that now that we've seen Clarissa fight against some of those big old heavyweights, I don't think optically that would be a good idea for her to come and fight somebody who's so small. You know what I mean? It's like you picking on somebody now at this particular point. You doing the old Jake Paul. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be like a fight that it just wouldn't make any sense. Like I say, from an optical standpoint. But we'll see, man. We'll see. But shout out to Michaela Meyer. If she did put on such a great performance, now you have me interested in going back to see the fight, because sometimes when I see her fight, it's just it's not her. I don't like fighters who have the same rhythm all of the time, and that's what I normally see with her. She's very tough, very gritty. She doesn't have the pop in her punches, and she does some good professional things inside the ring. But it's like, to me, when I see her fight, the fights that I've seen, it's like if I watch in the first round, I'll be seeing the same thing in the 10th round. And so that's the reason why I don't like go out of my way, especially then if she's fighting somebody who else isn't that big of a puncher, then it's just like stylistically, I'm seeing the same thing over and over. Yesterday, man, Brian Norman looked good. You know, he might have got stunned a little bit in that first round. Not sure. I know he's a little bit off balance, but outside of that, he put on a pretty good performance against Derek Cuevas and getting him out of there in the third round. We'll start with you, Ty, man. What did you see in the young man?
Yeah, so I think like the first couple of rounds were really more like fill out rounds a little bit. Like it didn't seem like Norman was really that busy. I mean, he was throwing some nice hooks. You know, Shabazz, he was trying to trade with him. But I would say in that third round, it looked like it was like a 1-2 or something that put him down. And then, you know, the referee, you know, he was talking to Cuevas and he was like, hey, look at me.
No, he ain't want no more of that, man. No,
and so I'm like, I mean, the round was almost over. So, you know, the round could have been over, you know, go to your corner, shake it off, get some instructions and come out. And he didn't look at the ref. The ref told him again, hey, look at me. He didn't look at him. So the ref had, you know, no choice but to wave it off because, you know, the fighter's not responding. So it was a good stoppage. But I just felt like with Cuevas, with his background, you know, he said both of his parents were fighters. I think, and this was just shot at a world title. I think he should have been a little more stronger, a little more hungry, you know, to get the chance to, you know, win that title. But to me, he just didn't want it. So hats off to Brian Norman. He's a champ for a reason. You know, going forward, you know, if Boots gets past Stan Honest, maybe we can get that fight down the road and, you know, get those talks and negotiations again.
Yeah, man. Before I turn it over to you, Sheldon, you know, he probably was hungry until he tasted that leather. It was like it reminded me of the Debo scene when he took old boy bite. And then Debo asked me, said, you want some of this, old man? And the old man was like, no. And he got the heck up out of there. So when the referee is asking him, do he want some more of that? He never turned to him. It's like, nah, I don't want any more of that. But what did you see, Sheldon? You there with us?
Here we go.
You said what?
Here we go. There we go. Okay. I'm going to ask the same question I asked last week, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me what Boots Ennis has done that Brian Norman Jr. hasn't done.
Oh, you ain't gonna.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe Ty can answer that.
Can you answer that, Ty?
But ask it again for me.
The question was, what has Boots Ennis done that Brian Norman Jr. has not done?
Nothing really. I mean, he's got pop in his punches. He's a champion. He's been looking good. So I just think it's an interesting fight. You know, both guys are
Yeah, I
champions.
love the
So,
fight.
you know,
I wanted to fight when they was negotiating, but everybody's saying Norman was ducking. Norman's scared. Why he won't take the money? Because
right,
yesterday's price is not today's price. I wasn't a champion at first. I'm a champion now, so the price changes. That's just common sense.
right.
But yeah, B Norman looked good against a guy. I'll be honest with both of you. I saw the weigh-in and I saw the interview after the weigh-in, and the first thing that popped into my mind was this guy's drained and he's going to get knocked out. That's why I saw that in the interview. I'm like, yeah, this guy's weight drained and he's going to get knocked out. This guy should probably be at 54. I think he cut too much to get to this, it was hard cut, but it was a world title shot, so he had to take it. And we have to take our hats off to Brian Norman because this is the guy he was supposed to fight before he hurt his hand.
Right.
And then he told the guy, hey, once I get healed up, you're going to get your shot. And he kept his word. Because, a lot of these guys today will just move on. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he gave the guy a shot.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy he had nothing for B. Norman. He had nothing for B. Norman, man. I want to see B. Norman in there with the Barrioses of the world, the Stanionis of the world, and the Boots of the world. I want to see who is the best at 47.
Yeah, and see, Cuevas didn't do himself any favors because he was on such a long layoff going into that fight, as well. What I did notice with him is what you got to be mindful of is that left hook, because dude has some serious power in that left. It's just a matter of Norman was getting there first. And so with the prospects of him facing one of these guys next, the winner of the Ennis and Stanionis fight, and I'm not so sure. I think Stanionis is he did himself a disservice as well by, he's also hasn't had that many fights. He's been having some breaks in between, like one fight per year type of thing for the past few years. So I don't like that entering into this Boots fight. But if he's clicking on all cylinders, to me, that's almost a 50-50 fight. It might be like a 55-45 fight in favor of Boots, but that's still a tricky, proposition for Boots to have to deal with. See, I'm the thing about Boots is I can't give people credit for something that they haven't done yet. And I haven't seen how he's going to respond when the going gets tough. And it was kind of getting tough against Karen, and I didn't like how he responded to it. It was like he was complaining to the referee, little stuff like that. I'm always mindful of. And that guy right there, I don't think he's as talented as Boots all around, but he does have certain things that he does well. But the most important thing that I think that he has over Boots is the mental toughness. But again, Boots can prove that to me if he's ever in those type of situations. Bebo says Boots fight coming up. All right. And this is Boots fight about to be good, coming off questionable performance. Absolutely. And so that's one thing he's going to have to overcome is putting himself, in a better eye, to the public. But then also, I think that's going to build confidence if he's able to perform well. Now that I looked and did a little bit more research, the fact that he's fighting for the WBA strap, he doesn't have to worry about that extra 10 pounds or going over the 10-pound weight limit that the IBF has. So that's going to be good. It might be a little bit stronger in this fight than he has been in his last few. But shout out to Brian Norman Jr., man. That kid, I like what I see. And I like his hunger. I like his passion. Like him, Keyshawn, it's not like they're shying away from opposition. And it also Lamont Roach. Like those guys seem like good young men. You know what I mean? I just like what I hear from them. All right. Let me see. Anything else you guys want to talk about, from this past weekend of boxing? I know the Tszyu was fought, and
Yeah, he looked good. Yeah, Tszyu looked good. He looked real good. Just don't like now the energy shift. People are saying now that Fulton's moving up to 30 to fight O'Shaquie Foster, that he's ducking Tszyu. So what you're telling me is you want me to stay at 26 and make less money instead of going up to 30, make more money, fight a champion, and try to become a 3-division world champion. So that's what you're telling me you want me to do. You're stupid. You know what I'm saying? I'm moving up. I'm not dead to Tszyu. If Tszyu want to fight me, come to 30.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That's part of the topics that we're going to discuss. But as far as Tszyu, what did you get a chance to see him?
Yeah, man, I was highly impressed. Like he got a third round stoppage, just like Brian Norman did. And to be honest, I felt that the fight should have been stopped in the second round. Like he was just landing shot after shot, nice combinations, and like I don't know how his opponent withstood all that, but like saying it was points in that round where I was just like, oh man, the ref's gonna stop it, and like he got the stoppage in the third round. I didn't feel like that stoppage should have came at that point. I felt like it really should have happened in the second round, but yeah, like his opponent, I think his name was like Vivas or something. He would eventually got stopped, but I agree with the stoppage. I just felt that it should have actually happened sooner because like Tszyu was putting the pause on him, and I want to respond to Rusty Cage like when he was saying we weren't giving Farmer his credit. I definitely was giving Farmer his credit. Like I said, I felt Farmer did one heck of a job with his adjustments. You know, the way he was able to take shots, the way he made it to the 12th round. So, like, yeah, Farmer, he's definitely got my respect. And like I said, I take my hat off to him.
Let me ask you this though, as far as Tszyu, because I don't want to take the shine off the fella if he performed really well. Is it a lot of Tszyu becoming a world champion? Would you say?
Yeah,
definitely.
I think, yeah, for sure. Like he said that's what he wants. You know, he jumped on the turnbuckle.
Based on what you see, is it a lot? Like he's definitely one of them dudes.
I'll have to see a little more. I'll have to just see a little more to say that. But from what I seen yesterday, I'll say yeah, but I still need to see a little more. But I think he's got the tools.
What about you, Sheldon?
He gonna beat the brakes off Nick Ball.
Okay. Is that going to be
brakes off him?
Is that next?
That's what he said he won't. That's what he said he won't. And you know me, you know my motto, Wilton. That's what you want. Put his ass in there.
All right, let's say Nick Ball ducks. He finds another guy out there in the UK that he can put
the tall dude. The tall dude at 26. He gonna beat the brakes off him.
Angelo Leo. What about him? Angelo
Beat the brakes off him. Beat the brakes off him.
Okay. So he might mess around and become like a unified champ or something like that in your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see too much resistance at 26 for Tszyu right now, especially since Fulton moved on.
Is he gonna be is he comfortably making that 126? It looked like I haven't really watched much.
Up soon. He's big. He a big 26. He's going to move up soon. He's a big 26. And he's 28 years old. Don't forget that. He is 28.
Okay. I'm gonna keep an eye out on old Tszyu. I hear a lot of good things about him. But I just haven't, he hasn't gotten on my radar just yet because he be fighting so low on the cards. I'll be still hanging and banging a little bit. But make sure you hit the like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, man. Yeah, just do that. Do that solid for your boy right there, man. We got some fights coming up. I didn't put all of them on here. It's just 3 fights for me that was the most intriguing. I'm gonna start off with the Joe Joyce versus Filip Hrgović fight, where you got Filip Hrgović, who's 17-1 with 14 KOs, 1 KO loss to Daniel Dubois, 32 years of age, out of Croatia, 6'6". You see some of the fights on his resume here. Like I said, his last fight was the loss to Daniel Dubois. So he's going to have a little bit of rust on him. You got Joe Joyce, who, man, he started off like a juggernaut, as far as putting together those victories. But now he's 16-3, 2 KO losses to Jelly John, 15 big knockouts, calling a juggernaut, 39 years of age. He's also 6'6", 80-inch reach. And he's coming off a tough loss to Derek Chisora in his last one. So he's also be a little bit rusty as well. What do you say in this fight, man? It's like a comeback fight for both guys. And I mean, whoever loses this is going to be really down, in the heavyweight division. They're going to be at the bottom of the totem pole. What do you see the likely outcome of this fight between Big Joe Joyce, the Juggernaut, and Filip Hrgović? I'm gonna start with you, Ty. What you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. Like you said, both guys are coming off some losses. I think Herkovich definitely had the tougher loss. He was stopped by Dubois, but Joyce is the guy that stopped Dubois. But at this point in their careers, Joyce is older. They always said that he was slow, but he does got the pop. And I'm coming off those back to back stoppages, against Zhali Zhang. I think that took a lot out of him. Herkovich, he has the power, he has the youth, but both of these guys are big guys, so I think it's an interesting fight. I think I'll go with Herkovich probably by a mid round stoppage. Like I said, I think Joyce still got the goods, but man, just his age, his how slow he is, and I think Herkovich is definitely going to take advantage of all that. So I got Herkovich in this fight, mid round stoppage. But I think Joyce will land some good shots, but Herkovich is gonna outbox him, land the quicker shots, and yeah, it's just gonna be too much for Joyce. So I got Herkovich by like a mid round stoppage.
You talking about somebody who you can't miss, like Joe Joyce is. You will have to try to miss him in order to miss him when you're throwing your shots. The interesting thing in this fight is that it's a crossroads fight in the sense that Herkovich got a decision against Jelly John, who knocked out Joyce twice, and then Dubois, who Joyce ended up beating. And his most impressive victory was the guy that Herkovich lost to. So that's an interesting dynamic that you have there. But what do you think is going to happen, Sheldon?
Well, you got Journeyman 1 against Journeyman 2. Which Journeyman are you going to pick? I don't think highly of either fighter. I think both of them need to go away. But in this fight, Herkovich looks so bad against Young. I gotta go with Joyce. And I think Joyce is trash, but I gotta go with Joyce. Herkovich is just not impressive. I never knew what anybody saw in Herkovich. Big, slow, no defense. I got Joyce.
I can't. He looks. You talking about somebody looking bad against Chisora, man. Like anytime Chisora would act like, I don't know, that's his game. Like he throwing you off because it looked like he on his last leg, and then as soon as you get to thinking that you're about to do something, next thing you know, he come with a little barrage, and he couldn't miss old Joe Joyce. And like I said, this is against an old Chisora. So I think that titanium chin that Joe Joyce used to have it no longer exists, and it's going to be all bad. He's gonna take a few to the kisser. He might even get dropped. Herkovich, he doesn't look that good either because he's lazy. And he's gonna have to get some of the cobwebs off after the loss against Dubois. But I just think that Joe Joyce is in worse shape right now. Hopefully, best case scenario for Herkovich is that he gets this victory and it builds some confidence, and they may give him a fight or two to build even more confidence, and he just finds the right matchups that's going to enable him to do the best he can in his career. I just think it's too many like young guns out there now too, especially the guy from Germany. Like you got to keep him away. He has too much energy, for somebody like Philip Herkovich. But we'll see, man. I would say Philip Herkovich. I'm gonna go with what you said, Ty. I'm gonna say like a mid 7th round TKO over the Juggernaut. The corner might stop it or something like that. The referee's gonna wave it off, but I can't see him having enough energy to do much of anything to get a victory in this one right here. You got Bebo says gas in the third, and then he got Philip Herkovich. All right, so we'll see about that one. Also next week, man, you got Tim Tszyu. He's going to be facing Joey Spencer. Let me give you the particulars on this. Tim Tszyu is coming off 2 losses. He's 24-2, 17 KOs. They call him the Soul Taker. 30 years of age, 5'8.5", 70-inch reach. Again, coming off the Fundora loss, a lot of blood in that one. The Mortalia fight was all bad. He got dropped on like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, so he's definitely not fine tuned going into this Joey Spencer fight. Joey is 19-1, 1 KO loss, 11 knockouts, 25 years of age, 5'10", so he's slightly taller, 70-inch reach. He's coming off a victory in December. So what about this one, Ty? What do you think is going to happen in a Joey Spencer, Tim the Soul Taker fight? Who you got? Ty, you still there?
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I think this is a fight that gives Tim Tszyu, puts him back in the mix and get his confidence back after those 2 tough losses. Joey, he's got the youth. He's got the win over Ramos. But I still think that Tim has fought, the better opposition. But my question is, how is his confidence going into this fight? After those 2 back-to-back losses. So I'm gonna probably go with Tim Tszyu, probably by decision. But like I said, I do think it's a step in the right direction. If he gets past him, maybe they're going to try to move him, back in those tough fights. I can see him starting off with like a Keith Thurman or something like that. But yeah, my question is, how is his confidence going into this fight? You can argue he was winning against Fundora until, the bad cut happened. And I just felt his team felt like, man, we was winning this fight. The cut messed everything up. Throwing back in there in a tough fight, but eventually, it backfired on him and he got stopped. So, like I said, I think this is a step in the right direction. So, I just think Tim Tszyu has more experience on his side. So I'm gonna go with Tim Tszyu by decision in this fight.
Talk to me, Sean. What you think?
Todd, did you see the fight with Ramos? Did you misspeak?
I did not see it. I don't recall.
Okay, because Ramos beat the brakes off Joey Spencer. I thought he was gonna kill him. Joey Spencer is too small for the division, in my opinion. He should stay at 47. He's gonna go up there and get mollywopped by Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu gonna beat him like he was his daddy, and move on to the Thurman fight. Hopefully, if Thurman doesn't break down again.
Yeah, Joey is a good fight for him because he should beat a Joey Spencer. And if he doesn't, then he has to, rethink what it is or what his future is going to look like if he can't beat Joey Spencer. Joey Spencer is pretty decent, though. I just think that he's probably like a C+, B- at best, if that. I would go more C+ level fighter. He's exciting for like his little local area, that sort of thing, but not someone who's like a world-class fighter. They shouldn't be able to, he shouldn't be able to have a certain level of success against those fighters. But he's also dangerous enough at this particular stage of Tim Tszyu's career. I heard Keith Thurman mention something that Tim Tszyu did. He was supposed to fight somebody, and the fight got canceled, but then he ended up continuing to train. It wasn't the Fundora situation. It was another fight. No, it was the backroom fight. And he said when he saw him, he was like, he thought that Tim Tszyu was supposed to, like, how like you get ready for a fight and you fine tune, like you ready to go, and then the fight is canceled or they push it back. He never stopped training. And he was like, man, I wonder how that's going to play out. And then he said when he saw him against Backroom, he was like, not only was Backroom just a bad matchup, but he don't think that he put himself in the best situation because he probably overtrained, as well. So that's something to factor in also with Tim Tszyu. He might look a little bit better because he doesn't have those issues going into this fight, but it should be a good confidence builder. And then also getting this win would be good in preparation for the Keith Thurman fight. and then you see where the chips fall. At least those are 2 good paydays, though, or at least 1 good payday against Keith Thurman, because I think that's going to sell really well down there, down under. So let's see what happens. And then also, let me go ahead and go to the next fight. This one I'm probably most interested in next week. I didn't put all of the particulars up, but this fight right here. Are you guys big on Torres Jr.?
Yeah,
The heavyweight?
I'm a huge. Yeah, I remember this. I can't remember which fight it was, but Torres was there and they announced it. Yeah, I'm very interested in the fight. Villanueva's a big guy, but Torres, man, he's been on a mission. You know, had a nice win over Joey DeVico. Had Joey DeVico spitting his mouthpiece out constantly in that fight. So it's a good fight, man. But I think Richard Torres, man, he's proven, you know, why he's that next best thing in the heavyweight division. You know, he's upcoming, he's stopping everybody. He's strong, he's tough. So I'm gonna go with Richard Torres probably by a late stoppage.
I don't know. What about you, Sheldon?
Richard Torres is fighting the guy in Villanello. They was basically on the same level. I'm interested to see how Torres looks against this guy. If Torres is what they say he is, he should stop this guy easy. Because Villanello has a lazy jab. He's slow, tall, fights tall, but he's slow. So Torres is like an Energizer bunny. He's all over the place. I think Torres will probably stop this guy. But it's an interesting fight. Because this is the first guy that Torres has fought that actually has a little bit of talent. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would probably lean slightly towards Guido in this one. Torres, I'm gonna put this up here, man. I don't see what everybody sees in Richard Torres. What am I missing? What do you see in him, Ty? Talk to me, man.
Who, Richard Torres?
Yes, sir.
Man, he's stopping everybody. Like I've been high on Richard Torres. Like I remember watching him when he was first getting started. He keeps coming forward. He drops everybody. Like Shelton said, man, he's like an Energizer bunny. He's a workhorse, so he always come forward. He lets his hands go, and I think he's done well getting past his test with the name. So I like you said, Villanello is a big guy, but I think he's slower. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he lose to Johnny Rice? Like Johnny Rice put a bad cut on his eye or something like that.
A bad cut, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, Johnny Rice beat the brakes off of him.
I don't know about the brakes.
Yeah, man. So I'll go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Torres by a late start. Like I feel that he's fast, and Villanello's a little slower. But like I said, Villanello is a big guy, but I don't think that's going to be an issue for Torres. I think he's just going to keep coming forward. While Villanello is swinging, Torres is going to counter and catch him, beforehand. So yeah, I see Torres just keep coming forward, letting his shots go, letting his hands go nonstop until he gets the stoppage.
I'm just trying to figure out where's the skill. Like he's a knockoff, like Mike Tyson type fighter, but I don't see any skill there. And I'm thinking about like, okay, what's gonna happen once you start fighting people who has some resistance and who can put a jab on you, has a little bit of movement? What's gonna happen when your whiskers get touched? You know what I mean? How are you gonna be able to handle those type of things? And I think that Guido is going to provide that type of resistance because he is a professional. And I like what I saw in that Effie Ajaba fight. He stunned Effie in that first round. And so I think it's going to be a good test. I would put a little bit, depending on what the odds are, I would put a little bit of money on Guido because, again, you just don't know what Torres is going to do. When I'm looking at these highlights, though, sometimes Guido gets a little bit wide himself, but this is earlier in his career. He's shortened up some of this stuff, man, so he's looking a little bit better. If I would have to if I would say who I think is going to win, it's probably going to be Torres because he is more powerful, and once he ends up touching Guido, he'll probably do some damage. But I'm look at this, man. Look at this skill right here. Where is it at? Are you serious? Come on, man. You
And that
know,
was my question. That was my question to Ty. I mean, he's stopping everybody, but Ty, you got to ask yourself, who is he stopping? Who are these guys?
True. And I will say this. I will say Richard Torres is a short heavyweight. He's not like one of those 6'7" guys. So I think if he gets in there with one of them guys that's 6'7", who's got skill, who can move, he's gonna have trouble. So I agree with you as far as the opposition wasn't best. But like I said, this is a step in the right direction. Like I said, Joey DeVico's been in there with a lot of names, but he always came up short. But he, like I said, so I wouldn't say it was a statement he made against DeVico because DeVico's already took some losses against some good names. So, but it was still a nice name on his resume, and he passed with flying colors. So I think he's going to do the same thing with this test as well. He's going to pass with flying colors. But like once he starts getting in there with those taller guys who got some pop, who can move, I think that's when the trouble is going to start for him.
Is Dubois? Would you consider him a taller guy?
You said who?
Torres, yes.
No, I'm just saying,
Torres,
like,
yes.
when you're saying the taller guys, are you talking about like the Furies and
or guys like Effie, guys like Effie, like the Furies, Josh Woods, but like any guy that's over like 6'3" or 6'3".
Oh, that's everybody. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna, because if I'm looking at guys who are like not necessarily these behemoths, I'm looking at Cabal, I'm looking at Wardley, and I'm looking at Dubois. And so I think Wardley, put him in a body bag. Cabal put him in a body bag, and Daniel Dubois put his body bag in a body bag. You understand me? So we'll see how that goes. But shout out to him. I just don't see it. You know what I mean? I say that, and I'm saying that, playfully. You know what I mean? I don't want anything like that to happen to any of these guys. He is a pugilist. He is. But see, here's the thing: is he doing what's my man? Berlanga. Remember, Berlanga was fighting all of those guys, and he was getting them out of there. And as soon as he fights somebody with a little bit of resistance, then he just looks like a average at best type fighter. What about back in the day? I don't know if did you ever see Joe Messi fight? Joe.
Of course, I saw Joe Messi, the Indian. Joe Messi was the guy, man. Great punching bag. Great punching bag.
But before that, wasn't they like making a big deal about him? Like he was supposed to, Joe Messi.
Oh, Baby Joe Messi. Yeah, Baby Joe Messi was the next big thing. Baby Joe Messi go challenge for a title. All that. I remember.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm careful of these type of guys, because the way he looks like unique for this day and age, like it's an old throwback 1970s Bobby Ches looking guy, that a lot of fans are going to be, looking at him optically as like, oh, okay, he's different. And then he has the style, the old blood and guts, Rocky Marciano type style. And so people are going to gravitate to it. But at the same time, is this just like a show, or is it something of substance? And that's something I have yet to be able to determine. This fight might not even tell me that, but it's a step in the right direction. Also, man, I was going to start the show off. This is what I'm talking about, brothers. This right here is what I'm talking about. A young fella who isn't resting on their laurels. I got me a belt now, so let me go ahead and fight George Kambosos. Let me fight. No, you talking crazy. You said that you can do what? No, I'm not like these other dudes. You know what I'm saying? Give me him. If he think that he's just going down the line, or whoever it is that want to fight him, because I feel like I'm that dude. I want to show you who's that dude. I'm not afraid. If Tank don't want to fight me, this person don't want to fight me, boom, I'm going for the gusto. Give me De Los Santos. I'm not like Shakur. Shakur my guy, but I'm not avoiding you, dude. Like, let's get busy. What is this telling you about old Keyshawn, fellas?
I don't know. My question is, I don't know what's the hype about De Los Santos. He's a loser. He loses. He lost. He lost.
I'm gonna tell you what the hype is. So the hype is the fact that he lost, but he lost against Shakur Stevenson. He wants to fight Shakur Stevenson again. It was a pretty close fight. Shakur is not. Nobody else is trying to fight Shakur, so why wouldn't you just go ahead and fight the dude over again? But no, he's over here trying to.
I'm a 3-division champion. For what? I'm moving on. I'm not fighting this dude no more. This dude's a loser. Let Keyshawn beat him up. Because Keyshawn's gonna beat him up. Keyshawn's gonna beat him up. He's not very good, Wilton. He's not very good.
Okay, you're saying that. So again, why not go ahead and beat the dude? So it's better for him to fight the dude who had the other job and stuff like that. Like that's you prefer to see that?
Because there was more money in the plumber than it was fighting De Los Santos.
Oh man, now that's what it is. Now that's what I'm saying. Like I can't respect that. I can't honor that. Nah, you sitting up here. Frank Martin didn't want to fight you. Vasil Lomachenko didn't want to fight you. What are you gonna do? Like people want to see. It's like Floyd could have did the same thing when he had to fight against old boy at lightweight. He could have been like, oh no, I can just go ahead and bypass this. No, this is the reason why this fight was that close. I had a little injury, so let's go ahead and run it back. Let me go ahead and show you. He could have did that with anybody, but no. It comes a time when you can't sit up here. So you've been a hypocrite. I'm talking about Shakur. If you telling me these other dudes don't want to fight you, but you don't want to fight the dude that wants to fight you. He wants to fight, but these other dudes are kind of reluctant. They don't want to get in the ring with. They got all type of excuses. Your style boring. You this and that. He ain't saying that. Run his back, punk. That's what he's telling you. So you can't have it away. That's what I'm saying.
Ty, will you correct him, please? Ty, get on him, please.
All I'm saying is, go ahead, Ty.
No, I mean, like you're saying, man, Keyshawn, like he's impressive. He's calling everybody out. He's champion now. So I mean, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it, man.
That's real, man. Like Keyshawn. Again, I'm not hyping up De Los Santos because I think that in this fight right here, for one, De Los Santos is putting himself in a bad situation because he hasn't fought since the Shakur fight, so he's going to be rusty. The other thing too is I think that people have a bigger, or they think higher of him than what I've seen. Like he's a good fighter, very strong, got power. Here's my thing, and this I don't want this to come across as me kind of bashing people from the Dominican Republic. I just sometimes am concerned with people sometimes for them, because if you ever been to the Dominican Republic, you know how like genuinely nice those people are. You also can get a level of understanding because it's like in their culture. Like sometimes you would think that even when they become aggressive towards you and you push back, then next thing you know, it's like, oh no, I didn't mean that. And then you see a totally different person. And that's kind of like ingrained in a lot of Dominican people. So that's what concerns me in like big fights. When I see some of their fighters, you see Hector Garcia. Remember when he had the situation with Tank? You see my guy who's the 154-pound fighter who always, they said he has a glass head and a glass body. The one that Charlo fought and ended up beating him for his belt, but he also beat Julian Williams. I forget his name. Banana Rosario. So you see him. There's other fighters from there who, it's like when they talk about dudes from Harlem and they say, dudes from Harlem always snitching. You know what I'm saying? Like they got that black, that stain on them. Not to say that everybody's like that, but that's something that concerns me when I see some of those fighters from Dominican Republic. And if you look at his resume, like you said, in his bigger fights, sometimes the only fight that he had that he ended up winning was the Valenzuela fight. But the other fights of the known guys that he's faced, he somehow ended up taking an L. Even though he looked good in those fights, it's just that does he have enough to be able to have it in him to become that world champion and to pull off a big victory like that? I'm not so certain. But we'll see, man. Like I say, shout out to Keyshawn for, not wanting to duck any smoke with anybody, showing that he is that dude. Let me go ahead and What else you want to say about that though? Mhm.
I'll just say, I've seen Della Sanchez fight. When Boots fought, Bamanville, he fought the guy, was it Joseph Adorno or something on the undercard. So I have seen, Della Sanchez fight. Keyshawn, he's got all eyes on him. Like I said, he passed his world championship test with flying colors. Stopped the guy. So I think it was Keyshawn. He's on the right direction. He's calling the guys out, calling the big names out. He's hungry. He's young, so he's going to keep that momentum going. So, like you said, Della Sanchez does have the ring rust, but his last fight was against Shakur. Shakur's one of the biggest names of the sport in that division. So I'm cool with it. With it. I just think, like you said, I agree with the rust factor, but I think it will be a good fight while it lasts.
Yeah, I just think, I just like the fact that Keyshawn is moving like a champion is supposed to move. Like we have gripes and complaints about different fighters ducking this person and ducking that person, and he just doesn't seem like that type of dude, man. And I respect that. Also, we got word this week that Deontay Wilder is going to be taking on Terrell Anthony Herndon in Wichita, Kansas on June 27th. What do you fellas think about that? Is that a good bout for the champ, to get himself back, on the winning side of things?
Yeah, I know he was originally supposed to fight, Stephen Shaw. I was looking forward to that, but that's not the case now. So I'm not familiar with this guy, to be honest. But Wilder's older now. He's 39. He's coming off some tough losses. So I'm cool with it. I think it's a step in the right direction. My question is Malik still going to be in his trainer? Is he still going to be in his corner? I don't know. But but I do think this is a step in the right direction. To me, this looks like it could be one of those knockouts, that he always be getting. But like Wilder, let's to be honest, man, he don't got nothing to prove. I know his his resume isn't what everybody wanted. Everybody said he didn't fight the best names, but at the end of the day, he's still done what he needed to do. He became champion. He had successful title defenses. Once he, got to those tougher names, also Ortiz, Tyson Fury, he started looking a little shaky, came up short. But I mean, good demand his props, man. Started sport of boxing late, became champion, had his successful defenses. Now he's older. He's starting to take some losses. So I mean, he's going to be almost 40. So to me, honestly, he don't have nothing to prove. But if he want to keep fighting, let the man do what he want to do. But I think he's done enough in the sport if he want to just call it quits. But I feel like he just, after those losses like that, he just want to, right that wrong, get another win on his belt. Then maybe he'll ride off into the sunset. But we have to see what happens, once this fight does happen. If he wins, is he going to want to keep that, keep that streak going? Is he going to want to keep fighting? I don't know. But I think it's a step in the right direction. But I just feel that Wilder don't got nothing else to prove.
Again, I can already tell you what he's going to do. This ain't, he's not just fighting this as no victory fight and ride off into the sunset. He's doing this because he wants to have a comeback. You know what I mean? He was on earlier. He had an interview with another podcast. I didn't get a chance to see that or hear it, but I'll take a listen to it a little bit later. But not a champ. He has that killer instinct. He has that dog in him. He's going to want to get a crack at some of those guys at the top, and this is going to be a step in that direction. If he can't beat Terrell Herndon, again, this is going to be a fight as far as skill level, as far as an opponent. This is like, I don't want to be disrespectful, to Herndon, but when you looking at tiers, let's say for instance, tier 4, tier 5 is your top tier. He has to be at a 1 or 2, and so the champ defense isn't there. This is a guy Torres, I want to say, knocked out in the first round. Like this is, and Torres hasn't been fighting the best fighters, and that he mollywopped him. Like it was bad. So once the champ once he cracks him with one of those big right hands, that should be all she wrote. I don't see this going past 1 round, but we'll see what happens moving forward. How they're going to put the pieces back together. because with Deontay Wilder, he's always one right hand away from recapturing glory. And so that's the thing about his skill set is that, you know, like I said, he's just one step away. But he's also a guy who's looking like their punch resistance isn't there anymore or what it used to be. And it gets kind of scary when he gets cracked on the chin. So his fights that when you watch him, you're always on the edge of your seat because he can knock the guy out or he can also, you know, it can happen to him as well. But we'll see. What about you, Sean? What do you think, man? Is this a good start for Deontay to get back into the swing of things?
Deontay, the bronze bomber Wilder against a fry cook from Dennis. I mean, what can you say? What can you say, man? I don't think this is a step to get him back to anything because beating this guy doesn't mean a thing. You know, you need to get in there with a Bacoli or a Big Baby Anderson or even a Roy Miller to show me something. Beat them dudes. Because this guy is garbage. This guy's not very good. Now, I get it. Wilton. I get it for the confidence builder. I get it. But how can you be confident knocking out a fry cook? Come on, man. This dude got another job somewhere, man. This is not going to put you in no position to fight anybody for anything. Beating this guy. I'm sorry. I can't go with the narrative, bro. I'm sorry.
What is the narrative? Just you want to get back into the ring and get back into the win column. You want to work on whatever it is that you were working on in camp to see if it registers and it translates inside the ring. He complained about having some broken bones and whatnot. You want to make sure that you healed up at the age of 39. You know, so I can see coming out of this, you know.
I hear you. Hey, look, like I said, I can't go with the narrative that this is going to put him, beating this guy is going to put him back in the mix in the heavyweight division. I just can't see that.
Nah, it's not going to do that. It's just a step. It's a tier. You know what I mean? You go ahead and knock you off with tier 1. Let's get you a tier 2 afterwards, you know. Also, Fulton, so you were kind of discussing this a little bit earlier. Fulton's Cool Boy is eyeing a third title against O'Shaquie Foster on the Gervonta Tank Davis Lamont Roach undercard. So I heard him speak, and because O'Shaquie was kind of calling him out a little bit. And so what he was telling him, he said, no matter where I go, if I stay at 126 or I move up to 130, he said, out of all the dudes, when I get there, I'm that dude, no matter what decision that I make. And when I thought about it, I said, you know what? I kind of agree with him, you know, as far as the names are concerned in both weight classes. Now, as far as how a fight will play out, I think that Stephen Fulton is more skilled than O'Shaquie Foster, but I don't know if that necessarily translates into a victory. What do you fellas think? Who do you think will be victorious between the two?
I like the fight, but I just got to go with Cool Boy, man. I know he's had the bad loss against Inouye, but like I said, once he got back, he had some ring rust, and he got back in there. Well, I forget what the guy's name was, Kasano or something. I forget what the guy's name was, but he had a tough fight against him. You know, he got dropped, but he came back, and was landing bombs, and he ended up being victorious. He had his rematch, with Figueroa, and passed that test with flying colors. So Cool Boy showed me how he's able to adjust. He shows me how he's able to overcome the storm, how he's able to weather the storm and end up coming successful. Now, Shock is good too. He's had the 2 tough fights with Conceição, but I just feel I think it will be a nice back and forth fight. But I just feel that Cool Boy will get the better exchanges. And, he doesn't have pop. Like, neither guy really have a lot of pop. So I see the fight going the distance. But I just think that Cool Boy will come out victorious, get the better exchanges, land the cleaner shots, the bigger shots. I don't think it will be easy. I think it's going to be a good fight for both. But I see Cool Boy coming out victorious.
Think Cool Boy going to wear the jean shorts again with the Tim?
Yeah, he might surprise us, wear something else, man. Who knows?
I thought he was from Philly, though, man. That's a New York thing right there. He's still in New York style, New York swag. But anywho, what about you? Who would you favor Shelton, with Stephen Cool Boy Fulton against O'Shaquie Foster?
You know, Cool Boy Steph was one of my guys, man. I like Cool Boy Steph a lot. I'm really feeling Steph. I think he's one of the best young fighters out there out of the crop. But I got to go with Shaq, man. O'Shaquie Foster's got dog in him, man. He's a dog. And I've seen what happens when Cool Boy gets into a real dog fight. He sometimes abandons the boxing and wants to fight. And I don't think that's a good idea with O'Shaquie Foster. I'm going to take O'Shaquie Foster in a majority decision. I think O'Shaquie Foster going to outdog him.
It's interesting. Let me see. O'Shaquie, man, the thing about him, I like him. I like his story. What will be in his favor is going to be the size, a little bit more pop. But it's just, will he be able to get off against Fulton enough to like land shots and stuff like that on him? You know, if he's able to, then I can see it. But I can also see Fulton frustrating him because the size difference may benefit Fulton more, because with O'Shaquie Foster, he's better. It's a certain distance that he has to be at in order to be able to land his stuff effectively. And so sometimes when a guy is that tall and somebody who can maneuver and is skilled, then they can kind of take that away where you can't extend like you want to, and it just becomes frustrating. So right now, I think it's about a 50-50 fight between the two. But O'Shaquie will have a good chance because that size, and like you say, he does have that dog in him, and he has that mentality of, never say die. You know what I'm saying? He always gonna be going for it. And so it would be depending too, as far as Schoolboy, as far as his endurance to be able to fight that fight that he has to fight for all 12. But like I said, I have it about a 50-50 right now because Cool Boy is skilled. That's one thing about him. I'm gonna keep moving forward. Also, Tszyu, man, the IBF, man, they ended up. I think he's rated #1, so it looks like he's gonna fight Daniel Dubois next. Is Tszyu, can he last all 12 with Triple D?
No.
I don't think so. And like when I heard that news, I was like, "Come on, man!" I mean, Tszyu, the guy, you gotta take your hat off to him. He fights anybody. Like I said, as we talked about earlier, he beat Joe Joyce, but Tszyu is the journeyman of the heavyweight division. He'll fight everybody. So you got to take your hat off to him. But like Dubois, man, I don't want to see Tszyu and Dubois. I mean, I know Dubois had a situation, that happened out there in Saudi where he got sick, got ill, whatever the case was. But I mean, come on, I don't want to see Tszyu. But of course, I'm gonna go with Dubois by stoppage. I'll say early to mid round stoppage. Like Tszyu, he's on his even though he beat Joyce and everything, I still think he's on his last leg, man. He's older. He's been through so many wars, and Dubois, he's the guy that's kind of been on a mission. You know what I mean? He's been on a mission with stopping everybody. We've seen what he did to AJ. We've seen what he did to Big Baby. We've seen what he did to Herkovich. So I think he's going to keep that momentum going. Like I said, I don't know what the case was happening in his leading up to his last fight, but obviously he got sick. So, but I'm going with Daniel Dubois if this fight happens early to mid round stoppage.
Got you. What about you, Sheldon?
I love me some Del Boy, man. I'm glad he's getting the retirement bag on the way out. It ain't gonna last long. Maybe 3-4 rounds. Dubois hit too hard, too active. And I still say the AJ fight was luck, but that's neither here nor there.
Come on, Dubois.
Yeah, that was luck.
Ow! He needs to refer to both. He just had like one little moment, man. Do my boy like that, but
he gonna beat the brakes off Derek Tszyu. But I love Del Boy though. Del Boy fight anybody, and quiet as kept. Del Boy done made a whole lot of money fighting like way he fight, don't he?
Oh yeah. The only thing in this fight is just because see the thing about Dubois, he can't have his antennas down. You know what I mean? Like he can because he can get caught if he get caught slipping if he does that. And Del Boy, one thing about him is he's gonna be winging those shots. And like you say, within the heavyweight division, all it takes is one. And so if Daniel Dubois is sharp, he's on his game, then he shouldn't have any problems in this fight. But that dude right there, like I say, up until like maybe the 5th round or so, he's going to be very dangerous with those shots that he wings. It's just with him, it's so telegraphed. But sometimes when guys are telegraphing shots like that, it seems so crazy that, you know, like this dude has the audacity to be throwing this shot. The next thing you know, it ends up landing on your chin because it's just so unorthodox too. You know what I mean? That would be the only concern, but just ideally, it seems like a matchup where it's going to be Del Boy's swan song. You know what I mean? That's going to be the last we see of Ultrasor. And hopefully he'll be okay enough where he can share like a 5 guys burger because that's what he like to do with his opponents, you know, after it's all said and done. Now, see this right here. I wanted to talk. I want you fellas to talk about this. See, because Sheldon always talking down on my boy. You know what I mean? You know, there's no Errol Spence slander here on Last Ones at the Bar. That's a whole fact right there now. But at the same time, you have Terrence Crawford, who does himself, you know, injustice by saying that what most people would think who the best fighter on his resume, he's saying that he wasn't a Hall of Famer or he isn't a Hall of Famer. If that's the case, what is that saying about Bud Crawford's resume?
Man,
Who else? Go ahead, Ty. Go ahead, Ty, before I tear him up. Go ahead.
I saw when he said that. I didn't get it. Spence had 3 of the belts. You know, Crawford beat him and he became undisputed. So, I mean, this guy had all the belts, man. So, I mean, he's beaten plenty of names. He's beaten Porter. He's beaten Ugas. You know, that's how he became. You know, had the 3 belts. So, I mean, I don't get when Crawford said that. He's beaten Danny Garcia. You know, coming off a bad accident. So he beat Mikey. You know, you can say Mikey Garcia was smaller and everything, but
Hall of Famer.
He made easy work with Mikey Garcia. So Spence definitely had a solid resume. I don't know why Crawford said that. I don't know. I think it was to be honest, I think Spence had a better resume than Crawford. That's just me.
Talk that talk, King.
Yeah, I just feel he had the better resume. Maybe Crawford was just talking just to get something started. I don't know. Maybe he's saying that because Spence hasn't fought since that fight. I don't know. But Spence definitely, to me, is a Hall of Famer.
They say Crawford didn't go to college, but he definitely has his PhD, player hater degree. You understand what I'm saying? What you think, Sheldon?
Okay, we're gonna start with the resume talk.
Before you
watching boxing.
Before you start, this is what Spence say. He say, don't never say that I player hate because I'm the one that the players hate. But go ahead, sir.
Yeah. We're gonna give you that. Let's start with the resume talk since Ty brought it up, right? We're gonna start with the resume talk. I've been watching boxing since the late 60s, right?
Right.
I have yet to see a resume get in the ring and win a fight. I've never seen that. Doesn't matter who you fought. Number 2, back to the resume. How many Hall of Famers besides Crawford and Mikey Garcia are on that resume?
I don't know. It's Danny Garcia. You have the belts at 140.
The only way Danny Garcia gets into the Boxing Hall of Fame is if he buys a ticket to the ceremony.
All right. I'm gonna tell you, you got dudes like Whatcom that's in there, Mickey Ward, and guys like that. So he not, you know. You got
Garcia lost every fight of note he had at 147. He lost.
You got Gotti in there.
Every fight of note he lost. He was good at 140. He was a great fighter at 140. But every fight of note at 147, he got beat.
Y'all was talking about boogeyman that he beat that Mikey. I mean, not Mikey.
That was at 140, brother. That was at 140, brother.
You asked who was a Hall of Famer. So I'm saying that resume of 140 is Hall of Fame. Amir Khan when he whooped on it. That's a brother.
No, I'm looking. I'm looking. You're talking about Errol Spence. We ain't talking about Danny. You talking about Errol Spence.
I thought
you said any other dudes a Hall of Fame?
I thought you said that who on Errol Spence's resume outside
is a Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Terrence Carr. So I'm running it down to you. Danny Garcia,
okay.
right there.
Tell me.
Yeah, Danny Garcia. Look at Sean Porter is going to be a close one right there.
Sean Porter probably gets in. Yes, I agree. Sean Porter probably gets in because he fought everybody. I think he gets in.
Kell Brook right there.
No, he got to buy a ticket too. He got to buy a ticket too.
I don't know, man. That's a resume right there. But anyway, I don't know because it's still early. Some of them guys just finished their careers. It takes a little bit of time to get into the Hall of Fame. We'll see.
Yeah, it takes about 4 or 5 years. Yeah, but Errol, I mean, and see, my last point. What had Terrence been telling all of us for the 4 or 5 years building up to the fight? What did he say about Errol Spence?
I don't know what he said.
Yeah, did he not say it's going to be an easy fight? Did he not say it's going to be an easy fight? He told you it was going to be an easy fight.
Right, and I know what he did as opposed to what he said. What he did was he waited and stalled until the last bit of time in order to fight Errol Spence. Just like we've been talking earlier about guys taking these long layoffs, that's going to do them a disservice. Same thing that happened on July 29th.
So that's Bud fault, right? That's Bud fault?
No,
Errol got 3 of the belts. Bud got 1. But Errol waited Bud. Wait. But Bud waited Errol out. That's what you're telling me.
That's right. He's the strategy.
Okay.
He ended up fighting.
Hey. I can't argue with it, bro. I can't argue with it. That's your opinion. I'm never going to tell you that your opinion is wrong. No matter how flawed it may be. I'm never going to tell you that your opinion is wrong.
Southside gorillas, drug dealer killers.
Hey, let me say this. As far as him waiting them out, Spence didn't have those 3 belts though earlier in his career. If him and Crawford fought, let's just say 5 years earlier, Spence didn't have all those titles. Mm-hmm. So to me, I know it was a little later than it should have been, but at that point, all of them had all the belts. Spence had 3 major belts and Crawford had the other. So it's still, to me, it was kind of perfect timing that they fought because Spence had all 3 major titles. If they fought years
I agree
ago,
with that.
There would have been no titles on the line. It would have been no major titles on the line. It would just been.
I agree with that.
Top guys fighting.
I agree with all of that. I agree with all of that. But my point is, Wilton said he waited him out. My point is, it doesn't matter what order you get the belts in if you're collecting the belts. Am I right or wrong? Does it matter what order you collect them in?
Well, if you look and see what transpired in between fights, the negotiations, remember they were supposed to fight in November of 2022, and then he waited. The next thing you know, he signed for the David Evans Sneezing fight. And then you saw Earl say, man, we could have fought that this time. You needed the tune-up, just let me know. We could have worked that out. And then he ended up waiting, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh, okay, Earl, he's not taking the tune-up? Okay, yeah, I'll fight you now. So that's the whole thing. It's all gamemanship, man.
It's all good, brother. It's all good. I know you picked him. I know you had Earl in your back pocket.
But Jamal he's gonna fight the 19th in Las Vegas, man. First bout in 2 years. Dang, it's been 2 years since he had that fight against Benavidez. Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, what's the ceiling for Jamal Charlo? At this juncture and stage of his career, like what's the best case scenario for him?
They put him in the right fight with the right guy, and he looks good.
Okay,
but if you talking like a Caleb Plant or I don't even know if he beats Berlanga, bro. I mean, he's 34, 35 years old. He's been out the ring for 2 years, drinking, and I think it might be over for Charlo, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say. I did see Caleb Plant tweet. He wants all those names. He wants the Charlo, Berlanga, whoever. But now y'all might laugh at me for saying this, but I saw a little video of Cornflake training, and he was saying, Jamal, what's up, man? We got a date. Let's lock it in. So I know they were in talks before, so I won't mind seeing that at this stage because, like you said, he's inactive again. He fought, who was it? Benavidez, but that was what, a while back now. So you may laugh at it, but I still think Cornflake can even be in the right direction. You know what I mean? He's not.
Who was he? Who was calling him out? Ty? Who was calling him out?
Thomas Cornflake the man. If you know him.
Cornflake? Yeah, that might be perfect. Hey, that might be perfect. Cornflake might be perfect.
See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, at this stage with the inactivity, the mental health, at this stage, I'm saying that that's a good fight. Like, it don't need to be no Caleb Plant. It needs somebody who can give him that confidence, get him back on track. So Cornflake LaManna is, to me, a perfect, because LaManna doesn't do well against those names. We've seen what Laura did to him. So I think that's that could be a step in the right direction at this point in his career. So, but I hope it's not no Caleb Plant or nobody like that.
Nah, he ain't fighting no Caleb Plant. If he was gonna fight the little smaller David Benavidez brother, then and then he has another 2-year layoff. He got to have another tune-up fight in order to prep for like a stepping stone type fight. Cornflake might be a good one, man. What about you, Sheldon? What do you think? What kind of fight?
To me, that's about the level he's on right now. I think a Cornflake would be perfect to give him some confidence. Then maybe 68. Maybe a William Skull after he gets destroyed by Alvarez. Somebody like that. I wouldn't trust him with a Christian and Billy. He might get beat. So you gotta put him in there slow, man. You gotta work him back if he's gonna be active. I mean, who knows? He might fight this guy and take off another 2 years. I mean, who knows?
Cornflake's been doing pretty good, man. Against the level of others. Juan Carlos Abreu, that's not a bad win right there.
Yeah, I've seen Cornflake.
Cornflake got stopped in 20 seconds by Erislandy Lara when he was 40 years old.
Yeah, and he also lost to that guy that Charlo's brother stopped, Coda or something like that. But Coda. And but Cornflake, I've seen Cornflake fight live years ago. I would say maybe 2018. And he was skillful, man. He don't look like a boxer. He looked like a skateboard kid or something like that if you ran into him in the street. But he has some very skill when I seen him. But like I said, once he started fighting names, he come up short. But he's one of those fighters that'll stay busy. And as you can see, he's got a lot of fights under his belt while Charlo's been in that. So that could even present some trouble for Charlo. Who knows? But I mean, I think that's the test that Charlo should pass. But like I said, Cornflake's resume, he's been very busy in the past, year. So
man, dudes be over there inactive like that. You never know. Cornflake might put them paws on.
That's what I'm saying.
So that would be a fight up their alley. They should do something along those lines, at least that level right there, to kind of dust off his gloves. He's gonna need something like that. You can't really make a judgment unless you see what he's gonna look like May 19th in Las Vegas. So we'll see. Also, speaking of the Charlos, you got the smaller Charlo. He said 154 is mine. I want to ask you, fellas, do you think, we don't know what he's going to look like. It could be a situation. You made mention of Roy Jones earlier in reference to the quote and saying that she might lose too much weight. Obviously, in this last fight, he moved up to 168. I think that it may be even more of an issue for Charlo at this age, at this stage of his career. Also, the fact that typically women have more fatty tissue, not to call them fat, but I'm just saying because that's why men like women, because they're softer, right? So him putting on the muscle and then having to drop back down, it's less fatty tissue in order to lose. So you end up losing more muscle, which could diminish some of his endurance and stamina. So my question to you, let's say for instance he comes back and he's the Charlo of old. Would you make him number one? Would he be the number one guy in this current landscape of 154-pound guys?
No, he would have to go through Ramos and go through Tszyu before you make him the number one guy. He got to fight those two guys first.
Okay. What you think, Todd?
I mean, he was the man. He was undisputed. We seen what he did to all the guys, stopped all the guys, but he's been on such a long layoff as well. You know, I think it was probably the bad that he earned against Canelo that put him in, put him in the lazy mode. So I don't know, man. I can't put him on number one. I'll have to see how he does against a couple guys. But I can't put him in number one. But like I said, he did have all the belts. He was definitely the guy, and he took a risk by going up to fight Canelo. So I respect what he did and everything, and he was the man. But to put him back at number one after such a long layoff and everything, I can't. I'll have to say no.
When he was undisputed, because Crawford is said he's not coming back down, so you'll have to go with Ortiz all the way down. Is this a better crop of 154-pound challenges than he had when he was undisputed?
I'll say yeah.
By far.
Yeah, because he beat Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison was already chinny. He beat Rosario. You can argue he was chinny as well. Then he beat now Castano was a great fight. You know, give me I love the Castano fight. Castano was taking it to him. You know, first fight, second fight, Castano was taking it to him. He's put him down a body shot or whatever in the later half of the fight. So he got my full respect for the Castano fight. But like I said, he was undisputed. But I don't think that his opponents was, top guys. But now, 154 is that. So it's better. 154 is definitely better now.
But see, here's the thing: this is way better than when he became undisputed. But this isn't better. Like in the midst of him, like early on. So remember, 154 had him. They had his brother. Julian was on his game at the time. You had Big Boy Swift Hurd. You had Lara. Canelo was there, and there might have been a few other dudes there too. So at that time, like that's a comparable 154, that portion of it. But then the guys started moving around a little bit. But when he became undisputed, like by that time, dudes had already moved on as well. But yeah, let me see. Charlo's still is hell right now. He is, man. He making that money. It does it to guys, man. Some people make the money and then they end up even becoming more hungry because they greedy, which is good. And then some guys are a little bit more stubborn. Also, sticking in the 154-pound weight class, De La Hoya, I hope he doesn't get his wish. But De La Hoya is proposing for a Virgil Ortiz, Errol Spence fight because they don't want Ortiz to keep fighting all of the top guns. They want to give him some showcase fights in between taking on those other guys. I think Ortiz is willing to fight anybody, but Oscar's plan is to get the fight that we thought about a couple of years ago, possibly, but he wants that now at Cowboy Stadium. Do you think that right there would be we'll put a fork in old Errol after that one?
Man, I don't want to see that, man. Was Errol gonna move up to 60 or something? Because Ortiz can't make 47 or 54 look like.
No, it'll be at 54.
Even at 54, I think he kills Spence. I mean, Spence would have to take a tune-up. He would have to. You can't go in there with this dude without no tune-up, man. He gonna hurt you.
What about you, Ty? You think Errol got a shot?
Yeah, I'm with Shelton, man. I don't want to see Spence fight no Virgil Ortiz. Virgil's been a little busier. He had the big fight with Majamov, passed it. You know what I mean? He's been a little busier. Spence on the other side has been on the sidelines, and he was supposed to fight Fundora. Even Fundora was a bad fight. So yeah, I'm with Shelton. Spence needs a tune up. And I mean, they're saying at the Cowboy Stadium, both guys are from Texas, so I'm sure it would sell out in their backyard. So you got that aspect of it, but still, Spence hasn't fought since he lost to Crawford. No tune-ups, no nothing. So he needs a tune-up fight to see how he looks. You know what I mean? And Virgil's been a little busier. So to me, that's a bad fight. But like I said, it's good on the aspect of both of them being from Texas and can sell out. And I'm sure it will sell out just like that. But it's not a fight I'm interested in at this point.
Yeah, I ain't gonna speak too much, and I just I get what the big fish is saying as far as the tune-up thing is concerned, but at this stage, you've been off way too long, and it's just too much to have to overcome. And you fighting that young stud right there who looked tremendous in his last fight. Looked like he's being more of a complete fighter, and he's somebody that punishes you. You know what I'm saying? Spence at his best, that is a punishing fight. You know what I mean? And that's a fight worthy of being at Cowboy Stadium and sell out, really quickly. People would because they love both guys. I know the love Errol gets. And then also you got that kid from Grand Prairie, which is right outside or right in between Fort Worth and Dallas. Like that whole 4 million people will be tuned in and locked in. And I think it'll do good numbers outside of the state of Texas. But not right now, man. Earl, you just good brother, get back in there, get you a nice little tune-up, and then let the chips fall where they may and see where you are. But don't jump in there with that young beast right there. I did want to point this out that the zone, their boxing schedule, they're going to have 15 fights in 9 weeks. I'm saying that to say that, I think with Turkey being involved in boxing, that it's a blessing in a sense that we get more of the best fighting the best. But Turkey a lot of times puts on those mega fight cards where all of the great fighters are on this one card. So it leaves so many different gaps where you have less than stellar fights in between. But it's going to start picking up once you got the Canelo Skull, Garcia Romero, Eubank versus Ben. Any fights in particular that you feel can't wait, that you look most forward to in the upcoming weeks?
I'll say, of course, I'm looking forward to the Garcia Romero. I think Garcia beats, Ryan beats Rolly easily, but you got Tefimo on the undercard, you got Devin Haney. I'm really interested in that just to see how. Even though Devin didn't lose, I'm really interested to see like where his mindset is. Is his confidence shot after what happened? With him and Ryan. Because he had the situation where he was trying to sue Ryan. I'm really interested in that. To see how that plays off. If he gets passes Ramirez and Ryan gets past Rolly, is that fight next? Are they going to be talking about that? Are they going to be hyping it up? So I'm really interested to see that card, with Ryan and Rolly and then the undercard. So for me, I think that would be my number one right now.
2 fights I'm looking forward to seeing, bro. One, I'm looking forward to see Eubank and Ben. Because I think Eubank gonna beat the brakes off Ben. At 160. Ben has never fought at 160. Eubank is about to beat the brakes off this kid. Second fight that I really want to see: Teofimo Lopez, Arnold Barbosa. Barbosa don't like him. He genuinely doesn't like him. That's gonna be a good fight. I got Barbosa in the upset.
Yeah, those some really good matches coming down the pipe. Let me take a look here at what we got. I'm definitely interested in that Boots fight. Did you say you're going out there, Ty?
Yeah, I'll be out there. I got my tickets already. So and that I just want to add, as far as the Ryan and Rolly fight, that's supposed to be outside or something, right? So that's a little different. So I'm just interested to see how it's all gonna play out, how it's gonna look on TV and all that. So that's why for me that's my number one right now. But yeah, I'll be out there with Boots and I'll stay on this.
Oh, my partner was at the fight last night. He's part of Norman's team. He was at the fight last night. He spoke to Rolly, and Rolly said that that event's gonna be free to the public. You know, they got the 300 seats that are invited guests, but they're gonna block it off like they did like they do Times Square every year for the ball drop. It's gonna be free to the public. People can walk by, watch it, or watch it on the Jumbotron. So that's gonna be real interesting.
Yeah, hopefully this summer, man, they roll out like some really good competitive fights. But obviously, you're gonna have like the Tank and Roach fight in June, and then it's looking like you're having that De Los Santos and Keyshawn fight also in June. So the summer is gonna be pretty hot, man. And so we shall see. We shall see. Last few things on here. You got Fundora. And Shell, you talked about this last week because I think that you're going to favor Fundora over Xander Zayas based on a lack of power. I added this on here also for you, Ty, because we didn't get a chance to get your take on not necessarily Fundora. He did what he was supposed to do against Cordell Booker last week. But what do you think about the potential matchup between him and Zayas? Do you like the Towering Inferno or do you like Xander? Have you seen Xander Zayas?
Yeah. That's a tricky one because Zayas, the last guy he fought, Jones, was his trainer, if I'm not mistaken. Jones was in the guy's corner. I'll just go with Fundora, but I will say the fight against Booker that was probably like one of the weakest PBC cards I've seen in a while. I honestly wasn't interested in it. I think it was a weak card on PBC side. Of course, you know, Fundora came out on top. He made easy work of Booker. Looked like Booker's nose could have been busted or something. His face was bloody. But it's a good fight, but I'll go with Fundora. Yeah, his reach. I think his reach and everything just makes him a tougher opponent. But we seen how Tszyu was still catching him. We seen what Mendoza did to him. It's just if he's willing to fight on the outside and use his reach. I just feel like once he's on his style doesn't fit his height. He likes to fight on the inside, but he can duke it out and mix it up. So it all depends on his game plan for the fight. You know, he can have the wrong game plan, and you know Zayas could take advantage. So it's an interesting fight, but I'll just run with Fundora.
Fundora is gonna fight the same way. He's gonna be trying to, you know, throw his shots. You know, he's one of them fighters that pretty much does the same thing. And in a few of his fights, as I stated before, he did try to showcase a little bit of a jab and fight from the outside, but it doesn't last long because that's not what he does naturally, and it won't work well for him against the better guys. I just think when he does it, and typically when he does it, it's against fighters who aren't like the top guys. And so what he's doing is he's trying to work on that just in case it's necessary in fights moving forward. Let's say, for instance, he gets in trouble or he wants to give a fighter a different look just momentarily, but he's always going to be a volume guy. And the thing with him and Xander Zayas is going to be how much or how long can Xander go without getting fatigued enough where he's putting himself in jeopardy against the Towering Inferno. How much can he take? Because I don't know. I never really see Xander, you know, getting hit that much. Also, that style, like how is he going to perform against this tall fighter who's taller than both of the heavyweight champions currently? And so that's going to be interesting to see that. But I would favor Fundora as well. Also, you got Muratalla. He seeks the IBF interim title on May 10th. And then I think that's it, man. I don't want to it's nothing really to discuss there, you know. It's one of those top ranked, you know, matchups that both guys should be sizable favorites. But I do want to ask this last hip hop question. It's typically for Vail. But are you familiar with these CDs right here? Anything else you guys have before I get to our last hip hop question? Our last topic, I should say.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask. I know you guys talked about it last week, but I didn't really get a chance to hear what you had to say. So what are y'all guys' thoughts on, Rosado and Bill Haney, their argument? Do you think Rosado, like, of course we all know that he got a whole bunch of losses. He came up short in all of his big fights. But what is your whole take on the argument? Do you think Bill is salty? He's like too how can I say it? Too protective of Devin. Like, it seems like every time Bill's like on an interview or something, he's going off. Like, we seen him in this position with Floyd. He was even in an argument with Floyd, and now he's arguing with Rosado. So, like, what's your guys' take on it? The whole thing.
You want to start, Shelton?
Yeah, Bill needs to toughen up, man. Bill needs thicker skin. I mean, you talk like Satan's Gabe is broke and Gabe is look. The one thing you can say about Gabe Rosado is he fought everybody, and Gabe wasn't no point. Gabe gonna get in there and fight. Gabe gonna take his loss or his victory like a man. Gabe ain't finna sue nobody for battle. That I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I understand the strategy behind it. I get all that. But the optics is soft, man. I've never even considered. What fighter would consider suing another fighter for battery? I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. It's just too much. It's just too much. And Gabe cooked him. You soft. There's nothing else to be said about that. It's a soft look. And I'm just hoping, I think I asked you this last week, didn't I, Wilton? Will Devin ever be able to live this down? I mean, come on, man. That was the worst, softest move I've ever seen in my life, bro.
Yeah, well, I've seen Rosado fight live, and I agree with you. He fought Triple G. I think he had some bad scar tissue because I remember him cutting in his fights real easily. So I remember him when he fought Quillen. I think he was stopped because of a cut. He didn't complain. He was like, Quillen, man, we can do it again. I know he was stopped by Triple G. His face was bloody. So I think he had some bad scar tissue. But, like, yeah, he's fought everybody. Like I said, I've seen him fight live. He had a flash knockdown. Yeah, he comes out short. But he's a fighter. So I don't see nothing wrong with his opinion. I think he was saying something in the nature like, Ramirez is a bad fight for Devin right now. I think that's what sparked the whole beef or whatever. So yeah, I just wanted to get you guys' take on it. But I think Bill is like, I gotta say, I'm starting to lose. Like, I'm not a fan of the guy from that. I'm not a fan of the guy. So, well, I know that's Devin's dad. He's going to protect his son, and he's his trainer. So he's gonna. I feel he's doing what a father should do. But I just think he takes it too far. He's real salty about it all. I mean, he got that from another boxer. I mean, it's not like Devin and Rosado is ever going to fight. He was just a boxer giving his opinion. So
you mind if I give my? You said thanks for us giving our opinion, but I never said anything, sir. Let's see, Rosado's comment towards. So do you mind? You mind if I share my thoughts? Rosado's comments towards.
Say again, brother.
So Ty said he wanted to hear our thoughts, but I was wondering if it was okay for me to hear.
I couldn't hear you. Broke up.
Ty said he just wanted to hear our comments about the incident, but I never shared mine. So I was wondering, is it okay? Do you mind if I share my thoughts?
No, I would love to hear your opinion, brother.
I totally disagree with everything. I think that in a situation where like this, I feel like, I shouldn't say I feel, my perception is Bill is looking at this as a lot of guys are dumping on his kid. And when I hear Bill, even with the Floyd situation, right? Floyd, what Floyd was doing was he was trying to be slick, where he was talking about, well, if Devin needs some help, and he was saying some little slick stuff, and Bill caught wind of it. Maybe how he came off, perhaps it wasn't the best way to come off when he started talking about the street stuff. But when I heard him elaborate on what he was saying, he was talking about when his son and daughters were in the street, he helped them. Like he was trying to get people off of them. In this situation with Gabe Rosado, I can't remember the part of it where as a parent, if that was my kid, where I may have had a problem. It's kind of like the LeBron James, Stephen A situation, where sometimes it may be this one thing that I have a problem with, but then it's like you miss the point of what it is I'm saying that I have a problem with. But you will make it seem like it has something to do with something totally different. So, for instance, in the Stephen A. Smith and LeBron situation, LeBron had a problem with him saying, as a father, stop this. Like, dog, who you talking to? Like, you don't be telling me what to do with my kid. Like, and then also, Stephen A. Smith, if you have such a problem with nepotism, how come you never talk about Jeannie Buss, who is the owner of the Lakers, who never played basketball? You know what I'm saying? Like, so where's the problem? Like, is it only because? But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Now, in this situation here, I think the point is when people get onto Devin and they're saying that you are soft for suing. You mentioned a lot of Gabe Rosado losses that he ended up with cuts and things of this nature. Did anybody that he fight that gave him those cuts, did they test positive for a banned substance? I don't think so. See, that puts a whole different light on this. Now, not only did he test positive, the lack of remorse, the egging on after the fight, he's still talking crazy as if he did it without the PEDs. Thirdly, they start trying to blackball Devin Haney as far as his pay and stuff, what he's going to negotiate. He's supposed to fight Sandor Martin for the lowest amount of money that he would ever have made in about 4 or 5 years. So my value went down, but you are missing the point of the dude that I was fighting was on PEDs. It's something called compensatory, where if you do damages to something, you should pay for the damages. So if I'm getting the lowest fight amount of money that I'm gonna make in 4 or 5 years, shouldn't I be compensated by the person who put me in a situation where I'm making the lowest amount of money that I ever made in 4 or 5 years? That's all. I think that's the point that people are missing, and they never point to the PED usage that the man had going into the fight on April 20th of last year. I rest my case. Any other thing you want to talk about, sir?
Nah, yeah, you broke it down. I didn't look at it in that way, but yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's all I really have is that.
Yeah, man, the game is the game. You know, hopefully, they'll be able to rectify, get back and get it on. They have so much history together. I wish that was never the case. If Ryan Garcia, because you got to keep in mind, I'm not saying this just as a Devin Haney fan. I am a Devin Haney fan. It's just more so them dudes had history, because after the fight was over with, when I saw what Ryan Garcia did, I became more of a Ryan Garcia fan again, because I was a Ryan Garcia fan when he was fighting like Luke Campbell and people like that. And some of the stuff that he was saying, because he was coming across as kind of what Keyshawn is doing as far as calling out. I understood the direction that he was going, because people was like, well, why he's not fighting these dudes? He's trying to fight Tank, because Tank was that dude in most people's eyes. Instead of fighting all these other little dudes, why I just don't go to him? And so I understood the direction that he was trying to. Even in the Tank loss, I gave him some grace. After I saw that the Devin Haney fight, I'm back a support. I'm like, okay, I understand the method to the madness. He was acting all weird and stuff like that, but he was just using that as an angle to have them fight the wrong fight. Yay, Ryan Garcia. But then when he tested positive, not only testing positive, but then making all of these different excuses as to why the stuff was in his system. Like, this dude is horrible. Then he's being so racist and these rants and all of that type of stuff. So that's my answer, the conversation when it comes to that. But last but not least, unless you fellas have anything else you would like to talk about, I do want to get to that hip hop question.
Yeah, we get to the hip hop question, but I'm gonna say this. That's why I loved Gabe's response. When Gabe told me you got played, he played you. That's why you mad. He played. That's why I love that.
Could be. I just, the only thing I would say, that I don't want to keep going on. I just wish that fighters will have more remorse and more like they have to be the ones who advocate for themselves. So if you like kind of like not really address people who's being into the ring for own PEDs, and it's like you kind of like brushing that to the side, you making your sport worse by not speaking out. It's like when something happens and you like at work, right? Something's being blatantly racist, and people be pointing the finger and laughing at the person who's experiencing racism as opposed to like speaking out against it. It's all they did that to you. You went to corporate office? Man, come on, man. We just had to deal with that type of stuff. I deal with that no, dog. Like you dealt with it. That's something that you could power in the situation. I'm not saying anything like in that scenario. So when people do that, they kind of like hurt themselves, to me. But anyway, that's good conversation. Last question. I saw this on social media, and I think these albums or CDs came out around the same time. Jay-Z might be a little bit off as far as the time. Redman with his best piece of work, Muddy Waters. You got Vibes, it was written. You got Ghostface, Iron. The question isn't which one is the best. If you had one of these CDs, and this is CD era, one of these CDs crack and you won't be able to listen to it, which one would you go with? Because the other three are the better pieces of work.
For me, I'm very familiar with Muddy Waters. I'm familiar with It Was Written, but I'm not familiar with the Ghostface album. Yes, I heard a lot of Ghostface songs, but I'm not really familiar with the albums. But for me, I've had Reasonable Doubt. So for me, I'll just go with that. I know all the songs from Reasonable Doubt. Friend or Foe. I know a lot of songs on there. The track with Memphis Bleak. So I'll go with Reasonable Doubt.
You know how we do. Politics is usual wild.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What about you, Show?
Okay, so we got Iron Man. That's Ghostface, right?
Ghostface, yeah.
Reasonable Doubt. That's Jay-Z.
That's right.
Muddy Waters.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. While shouting, thinking, I'm gonna just say a verse.
No, Muddy Waters is cool.
Always talking about rocks. Like the style and profile, like the way I'm something like that. Like
which one is that?
Muddy Waters is who?
Muddy Waters, Redman.
And the Nas album. It is written, right?
That's right.
I'd have to go with Nas, man. That's my guy.
Wait, hold on. The question was, which one would you get rid of? Like,
three to get rid of.
Yeah.
I would get rid of Jay-Z. I'll never hear another Jay-Z track. I'm cool at 59 years old. I'm cool if I never hear another Jay-Z track. I'm cool if I don't.
Yeah. Bebop says, listen, Nas rewind. Oh yeah, man. But that's on Stillmatic though. That rewind. I would normally, if you said which artist, let's say for instance that I can do away with, it would be Jay-Z. Like I'm not as big of a Jay-Z fan as like his fan base, his supporters, right? But as far as these CDs, because when I saw this, I had to go back and I never thought in a million years I would say this, because I hold this CD in high regard. It's one of my favorite CDs, I thought, until I went to the tracks, and it's probably like 4 or 5 songs on there that I listen to heavily, or I used to. But when I went back and I'm looking at Reasonable Doubt, I'm like, this is Jay-Z's best work right here. This is when he was hungry. This was like, as far as art and the way his lyrics are, the way the songs are put together, the Mary J's on there, the concepts. Like that's the CD right there. Biggie song, you know what I mean? Then I look, Nas, all right, nah, that's my favorite Nas CD right there. And that's one of my favorite rappers, you know what I mean? So he's not going anywhere. So then it became, ideally, I thought it was going to be Iron Man. But then when I looked at Iron Man, I'm like, all of these dang on tracks on here. And then, like I said, when I went to Muddy Waters, like 5 songs on it that I listened to heavy, but the other ones I don't listen to as much as the collective pieces of like an Iron Man and things like that. So I would have to go with Muddy Waters as being the one that I would, do away with. You know what I mean? But all these guys are great. Like I said, if I had to flip it, as far as the artist, then Jay-Z would be the one that I would listen to least. All right, man. That's good talk right there, man. Anything else you guys have? I mean, the Bebop is heavy in the chat. He said Nas. You saying Nas you would get rid of, or Nas you would keep? Because I see you over here got all Nas tracks over here. Rewind. You talking about The Message.
I hate to say it, but like, as far as so I got the question mixed up. So as far as giving up, I hate to say it. I would probably, even though I'm not familiar with Iron Man or the Nas, I mean, I know Nas Stillmatic and all that, but as far as that one, I'm not too much. I have to re-listen to it. So, but I love Redman. So for me, I hate to say it, man. I would probably give up Nas.
All right, so let's go ahead and close this one out. It's a sad day right now, man. It hurt my heart with that one right there. All right, man. Anything else, man, before we wrap this up? Let me see if I got on these slides, man. I think I got one. Yes, sir. You see Big Bo. That lets us know it's time to go ahead and get a
Man, Big Mac like that. Bo Mac, Big Mac. Great talk as always, man. You holler at Bill, tell him I said what's up, man. I can't wait to see him again. Ty, always a pleasure. And I want you to go back and relook at that Joey Spencer Ramos fight, and you're gonna rethink your pick because Ramos beat the brakes off that man. All right, Will, I'll catch you next week. You know how we do.
All right, man. Stay up out that indictment.
Oh yeah, I'm too old for that, man. He's sitting in the pen at 60, bro. I'm cool. Youngsters have it.
Peace out, good brother.
Peace.
All right, Ty. Anything else, good brother?
Nah, man, like, salute to you for having me on. Salute to Shelton, for his knowledge. Salute to everybody in the comment section. If you're still in, man, subscribe to my channel. The link's in the comment section. You know what I mean? So, good episode. Always here to, talk this good about it.
Say Bo Mac Coach.
What's Ty's channel?
In this corner. The link's in the comment. Yeah, it's in this corner.
I'm gonna check it out today. In this corner, I got you.
Yes, sir. Last thing, Ty. What do you have as far as anything coming up as far as interviews or anything like that? Because I know you do a good job of that.
Yeah, well, I'm talking with a guy. I'm really waiting to hear back from him. It seems like we're on the same page, but it's a trainer. His son is undefeated. He's like 5-0, and his son's got a master's degree. So you don't hear a lot of that, boxers being in their 20s and having a master's. So I'm trying to lock that in. His name is Kamani Walker or something like that. He's tall. He's a lightweight, super lightweight or something, and he's real tall, like 6 foot something. He's a lightweight. He's 5-0. So I'm trying to lock that in with him, but that's the only thing I really got lined up.
Got you, man. Continue that good work, man. Vail will be back next week. He just spent a little bit of time in his hometown this weekend. The last question I got for you, man. You off tomorrow or you going in?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I work.
Okay. Yeah, because for us, we get off tomorrow because tomorrow is a Muslim holiday, and so they try to give you like different days off for those different, groups. So it could be Jewish holiday, a Muslim holiday, Native American something, you know what I mean? So they try to be a little bit equitable when it comes to that sort of thing. So I'll be off. So I'm gonna go over to my spot, man, and check out a few of these games, man. But you fellas be easy. It's pleasure, honor as usual to go ahead and work with you and talk about these topics. On that note, we out. Peace.
Peace.